You don't get what you want. You get what you are. That's the hidden truth most people ignore while endlessly chasing results. They set goals, visualize outcomes, and repeat affirmations, yet nothing changes. Why? Because your results are not attracted by your wishes. They're attracted by your identity. What you consistently embody, you begin to magnetize into your life. Think about it. If success was just about desire, everyone would have it. But it's not desire that draws things to you, it's alignment. You attract what matches your energy, your mindset, your habits, your standards, your daily rituals. If your inner world is cluttered with fear, excuses, or self-doubt, your outer world will reflect that confusion right back at you. Here's the truth. You are a living magnet. You radiate thoughts, beliefs, and intentions every moment of every day. And the universe, life, reality, call it what you want, is always responding. It's not responding to your hopes. It's responding to your frequency. That's why becoming the version of you who already has what you want is not just helpful, it's necessary. You can't attract wealth with a scarcity mindset. You can't attract healthy love if you're carrying unhealed wounds. You can't attract opportunities if you're constantly playing small second, guessing yourself and living in fear of rejection. If you want more, you must become more. Here's the hook. The gap between what you want and what you have is the identity you haven't yet stepped into. That version of you, the one who's confident, focused, consistent, grounded, abundant, already exists. But it's locked behind your current habits, your daily choices, your thought patterns, and your environment. Every day you get to choose. Will you operate from your past or from your future? Will you live based on old stories or new standards? This is where transformation begins. Not with what you want to achieve, but with who you're committed to becoming. You don't need to chase anything when you align with it. You don't need to force results when your energy speaks for itself. When your thoughts, beliefs, actions, and standards reflect the outcome you desire, life begins to reflect that back. People respond to your confidence. Opportunities respond to your readiness. Doors open because you're finally walking in your power, not begging at the edges of your potential. You stop being needy and start being valuable. You stop hoping and start creating. You don't wait. You become. And when you become, what you used to chase starts chasing you. So many people are stuck trying to attract success while carrying the mindset of failure. They want freedom, but their habits reflect bondage. They want love, but their heart is guarded. They want wealth, but their decisions are ruled by fear. That's why working on yourself, your mindset, your emotional state, your habits, your discipline, isn't just personal development, it's magnetic work. You're shaping your frequency. You're becoming a match for the next level. Because the truth is, you don't attract what you desire. You attract what you are consistently, unapologetically, energetically, and intentionally. Your mind is the blueprint for everything you experience. If you want to transform your life, you must first transform the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you see yourself and the world around you. Your inner world, your beliefs, your emotions, your attitude, is the architect of your outer reality. You cannot expect to create a life filled with abundance, peace, and purpose if your mind is flooded with doubt, fear, and limitation. Everything begins within. Your outer world is simply a reflection, a mirror, of who you are on the inside. It's not about luck. It's about alignment. You don't need to fix the world. You need to master your thoughts. Here's the hook. Change your thoughts and you change your frequency. Change your frequency and you change your life. Most people try to fix circumstances without fixing mindset. They hustle hard, chase harder, and wonder why nothing sticks. It's because their inner script hasn't changed. They're still operating with the same beliefs that created the very struggle they're trying to escape. You can't outperform your mindset. If deep down you believe you're not worthy, you're not capable, or you're not enough, you will unconsciously sabotage everything that challenges that belief. Your identity creates your behavior, and your behavior creates your results. If you want new results, you must rewrite the story in your mind. Your inner dialogue is either building you or breaking you. Every word you speak to yourself is either planting seeds of greatness or seeds of insecurity. When you say things like, I can't, it's too hard, I always fail, you're not just describing reality, you're programming your future. But when you speak life into yourself, when you say, I've got this, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm ready, you begin to shift the foundation of your reality. That's the power of inner work. That's why meditation, journaling, affirmations, gratitude, and visualization aren't just feel-good habits. They're weapons in your mindset arsenal. They train your mind to expect more, to see more, to receive more. Think of your mind as the thermostat of your life. It sets the level. You may temporarily hustle your way into success, love, or opportunity, but if your inner thermostat is still set to low, you'll find a way to cool everything down. That's why people win and then lose, rise and then fall, get what they want and then push it away. Their inner world wasn't built to sustain the new level, but when you raise your internal settings, your self-image, your belief system, your emotional resilience, suddenly the higher level becomes your new normal. Here's another hook. Your life is not controlled by your goals. It's controlled by your standards, and your standards come from what you accept in your inner world. Do you accept fear as truth? Do you allow negativity to dictate your choices? Or do you hold yourself to a higher inner code, one that demands discipline, vision, courage, and self-respect? Because when your inner world becomes unstoppable, your outer world has no choice but to catch up. That's not theory, that's law. That's the power of mastering your inner state, not once, but every day, consistently, relentlessly, with intention. Because your inner world isn't just where it starts, it's where everything is decided self. Worth is not just a nice idea. It's the invisible force driving every choice, every standard, and every result in your life. If you don't believe you're worthy of success, you'll find a way to avoid it. If deep down you feel undeserving of love, you'll push it away. If you carry beliefs that say, I'm not enough, or I don't have what it takes, you'll attract situations, people, and outcomes that confirm those thoughts. That's how powerful your self-worth is. You don't get what you want. You get what you believe you deserve. You can visualize all day. You can hustle until your muscles ache. But if your identity is rooted in lack, you'll keep running into invisible walls that you built yourself. Here's the hook. Your level of self-worth is the silent architect of your future. It's shaping who you date, what job you accept, how much money you believe you can earn, how well you take care of your health, and how you allow people to treat you. It's not arrogance, and it's not ego. It's about deeply knowing your value without needing external validation. When you walk in self-worth, you stop begging for attention, stop settling for less, and stop shrinking to fit in rooms where you don't belong. You become a mirror for others to treat you with the respect you already give yourself. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, every time you stay silent when you should speak, every time you ignore your gut feeling just to please others, your self-worth takes a hit. You're teaching yourself that your needs don't matter, that your voice doesn't count. But when you start honoring your boundaries, when you say no to what doesn't serve your growth, when you trust your inner knowing over outside noise, you start to rise. You stop living for permission and start living on purpose. That's when everything shifts. Think of self-worth like a thermostat. When it's low, no matter how much good comes your way, you'll unconsciously sabotage it to match your inner settings. But raise your self-worth, and suddenly you won't tolerate disrespect, procrastination, excuses, or mediocrity. Not from yourself or anyone else. You'll start surrounding yourself with people who reflect your new energy. You'll stop chasing and start choosing. You won't wait to be picked, you'll pick yourself, because now you believe you're enough, and when that belief takes root, it changes the way you show up in every room you walk into. Here's another hook. Self-worth is not earned through achievement, it's remembered through awareness. You were born worthy, but over time, society, pain, failure, rejection, and trauma tried to make you forget. The work isn't about becoming worthy. It's about removing everything that made you believe you weren't. That's the real journey. Because once you reconnect with your core worth, you stop living from fear and start living from power. You stop proving and start embodying. You stop apologizing for who you are and start becoming who you were always meant to be. And when that happens, your energy speaks so loudly, your results can't help but follow. Discipline is the invisible bridge between dreams and reality. It's the force that separates those who merely wish for success from those who create it. Anyone can set goals, anyone can dream big. But only the disciplined will show up after the excitement fades, when the applause is gone, when no one's watching, and when the only motivation left is the fire they've built inside. Most people wait for the right mood, the perfect timing, the magical burst of energy to begin. But the successful don't wait, they work. They've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. That's the difference. That's the edge. That's what separates average from extraordinary. Here's the hook. Your emotions don't build your future. Your discipline does. You'll never always feel like doing what needs to be done. Discipline means showing up anyway. It means choosing commitment over comfort, consistency over chaos, progress over perfection. You may not control everything in life, but you do control whether or not you act in alignment with your vision. That's power, that's ownership. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's saying, I matter enough to follow through. It's the daily decision to act in the direction of your purpose, even when no one notices, even when nothing changes overnight, even when it's hard. Too many people confuse motivation with momentum. Motivation comes and goes, it's emotional. It's a spark, but discipline is the structure that keeps the fire burning. It's the system, the routine, the ritual that ensures you don't fall back into mediocrity. And here's what makes discipline beautiful: it compounds. One small act of discipline repeated daily builds a powerful sense of identity. You start to see yourself differently. You start to say, I'm the kind of person who finishes what I start. And that identity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes your new normal, and when your identity changes, your results change with it. Discipline also builds confidence, not the fake kind that needs approval, but the real kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you wake up early when you'd rather sleep, put in the reps when you'd rather rest, focus when you'd rather scroll, you're building a version of yourself that is unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. That's the gift of discipline. It doesn't just move your goals forward, it transforms who you are. Here's another hook. Discipline is freedom in disguise. The more disciplined you become, the less you are a slave to distractions, laziness, and regret. The more you commit to the grind, the more freedom you unlock: financial freedom, emotional freedom, creative freedom. You gain control, you move with purpose, you live by design, not default. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about power. It's about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. It's not glamorous. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And once it becomes who you are, not something you do occasionally, but something you live daily, then no obstacle is too big, no goal too far, and no dream out of reach. Your environment is silently shaping your destiny every single day. Who you spend time with, what you consume, where you live, what you see, hear, and feel, all of it is programming your mind and influencing your actions more than you realize. It doesn't matter how strong your goals are. If your environment contradicts them, you'll constantly feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. You cannot plant seeds of greatness in toxic soil and expect them to grow. You must become intentional about the spaces you occupy and the energy you allow around you. Because you rise or fall to the level of your environment, and that is not a poetic phrase. It's a law of growth. Here's the hook. You don't just need willpower. You need surroundings that support your evolution. You need friends who call you higher, not pull you lower. You need conversations that expand your thinking, not shrink your ambition. You need content that uplifts, not distracts. You need habits that align with your purpose, not habits that derail your momentum. The truth is, your environment is either reinforcing your highest potential or feeding your limitations. And the more unaware you are of its influence, the more likely it is to keep you stuck. People often underestimate the power of subtle influence, the negativity of one person, the laziness of a group, the pessimism of a conversation. All of these things leave an imprint on your mind. You might walk away not even realizing why your energy dropped, your belief dimmed, or your fire dulled. But it's because energy is contagious, and if you surround yourself with small thinking, you'll start playing small too. That's why one of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make is to curate your circle. Audit your relationships, filter your inputs, protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Even your physical space matters. A cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind. The lighting, the noise, the cleanliness, the order, they all impact how you feel and function. Success is not just about what you do, it's about what you repeatedly expose yourself to. If you want clarity, surround yourself with simplicity. If you want focus, eliminate distraction. If you want drive, be around people who are driven. Create a space, both physically and emotionally, that breathes possibility into you. That reminds you of who you're becoming. That reflects the version of yourself you are choosing to embody. Here's another hook. You can't heal, grow, or thrive in an environment that made you feel small. Sometimes you outgrow places. Sometimes you outgrow people, and that's okay. It's not about judgment. It's about alignment. You don't owe anyone your stagnation. You owe yourself your evolution. So build a space, online and offline, that mirrors the greatness within you. A space where your vision is nourished, your voice is respected, and your growth is celebrated. Because when your environment supports your becoming, you don't have to force success. It begins to flow naturally from the person you are becoming each day.